again. You know, I think you're probably not exactly dealing in reality there.
There it is! No great celebration, but he's hurt his old club.
It's managing those periods where they've really struggled. They've been OK in parts, but it's just been able to handle those difficult spells where they've really let themselves down at times this year. A lot of the sides around them have already changed their managers, so there are consequences for managers at this level when things are going as poorly as they are.
In terms of a new manager, it's difficult. You know, there's what do we need at the football club? We just need to get back to basics. We need to get that confidence back in the immediate future. We need to make sure that, you know, as soon as possible we get some points on the board. We don't want to be cut adrift. You know, really playing catch up where it's going to be too difficult.
Leon Britton, a popular player, will take charge this weekend. He knows the club's past struggles and its present concerns, crucially the lack of goals. The Swans have scored just 10 times in their 18 league games. The strikers not on song and suffering too from a lack of service.
Swansea are the lowest scorers in the top 4 divisions of English football. So it's a damning indictment of their play while in possession. So, you know, no Sigurdsson and Llorente. They desperately need some, you know, some creativity, a bit of craft, a bit of inspiration on the ball, which they've lacked. There's no doubt Swansea have got some big work to do in January, and it's going to be pivotal in this survival fight for them.
For me, it's obviously frustrating as a striker not to getting chances and not to be scoring as well. But for me, I've been in the same situation last season as well, where the goals kind of dried up, but I had to stay patient. I had to stay focused, really, because if you don't think the goals are going to come, when they do come, you don't take your chances, really. So you do different aspects of the game, try to help the team as much as you can, and hopefully their chances will start coming again.
If Swansea can bring in someone to match the impact made by Roy Hodgson at Crystal Palace, they'll be thankful. When he arrived, the Eagles were bottom with 0 points. Under the former England manager, they've picked up 17 in 14 games. They're 7 unbeaten, winning their last 2 matches. But life in the Premier League is seldom straightforward.
It's taken their best ever unbeaten run in the Premier League, in the reformed Premier League, to get them up to what looks like safety in 14th, but actually is precariously close to the bottom 3 still. That run of games is horrific after the Swansea match. What had happened under De Boer had confused everybody, and the players didn't know whether they were coming or going. Hodgson, with his vast experience in the game, he literally just looked at them, stripped them back down, made them do basic defensive drills, and just to get everybody involved and singing from the same hymn sheet, which for too long they hadn't been.
I think the last games have exceeded our expectations, or exceeded our realistic thoughts as to what might be possible. But expectations is a dangerous word, because we think there are some good quality players in the squad and we expect big things from them.
Townsend, Benteke! The drought's over. The manager, Roy Hodgson, gets what he was calling for.
How typically Crystal Palace and how typically Christian Benteke that he then goes and gets booked, misses the Swansea City game as a result. He is their only fit available striker. I would imagine the only change that Palace make at the weekend would be Zaha playing up front. When you're in a relegation battle, you need a talisman, and you can see the effect that he has both on the locals, his teammates, most importantly of all on the opposition.
The opposition, though, may well respond to this week's events. The Swansea players will feel some responsibility for Clement's demise, and they won't want to bear the burden, too, of deepening the club's crisis.
So a festive feast of football got underway with Friday's draw at the Emirates. Everton-Chelsea kicks off Saturday's action. Later, leaders Man City host Bournemouth, managerless Swansea play Crystal Palace, and Burnley battle to keep their top 6 spot against Spurs. Leicester and Manchester United's late match brings us to the halfway point of the season. The action resumes on the 26th with Tottenham at home to Southampton. There are several important fixtures for teams in the bottom half before the Swans try to spring a huge surprise at Anfield. On Wednesday, Newcastle attempt to slow Man City's momentum, and Thursday takes Arsenal to resurgent Palace.
Midwinter is far from bleak for football fans. Across 12 days of Christmas, there are 40 matches, a gift that keeps on giving. Seasonal entertainment with the crucial matter of points at stake. The faithful come to follow their stars, joyful they hope, and triumphant. No league in the world does Christmas like the Premier League. From Dave Beckett, me, Izzy Clark and the rest of the team, goodbye.
This programme is sponsored by Bet365.
Our exclusive coverage of the Ashes continues on Christmas Day with the start of the 4th Test live from Melbourne. Join us for all the action through the night, but if you can't stay up, don't forget you can catch up with all the highlights Boxing Day morning on BT Sport.
This programme is sponsored by Bet365.
Before. He's got a clear idea about how Sydney FC are going to go about things. Boz, how encouraged are you, if you're looking at it from a Sydney FC perspective, that Ninkovic and Adrian start and how they're going to cooperate?
Well, very encouraging. Milos Ninkovic is by far and away their best player. He proved that last season. Mijewski is on the way to that type of level. The only thing is, how will they cooperate together? And we haven't seen that because of injuries to both players. We haven't seen that regular enough. The time that they have played together has been very limited. And when you've got two players who are quite similar in the way they play, there's always that question, can they play together? Well, great players can. I believe that these two players can do that. But then again, we haven't seen them play together for a sustained period of time and them going through a bad patch, because they haven't gone through a bad patch. So for me, and I've said this all season, that's going to be the most interesting thing when Ninkovic and Mijewski are both fit and they have a sustained period of playing together, whether we can look back and go, yeah, that's the right thing, or turn around and say, well, maybe they can't. So that's something that we're going to have to really look at.
Get a reasonable indication this afternoon in Wellington. Let's now get the odds for this one, thanks to Bet365.
Thank you, Adam. Wellington with only the one win so far this season. You'd think surely it's time for a second, but things won't get any easier for the Knicks this round when they welcome the Sky Blues to town. Sydney on top of the table after 5 straight wins. The current Golden Boot joint leaders will look to establish a lead tonight with injuries to other key runners. Both players could easily be among the goals. Bobo, your most likely scorer. Go to Bet365 for a full list on that market. And the Sky Blues love a high-scoring encounter. Just ask the Wanderers. In 3 of their last 4, Sydney has been victorious while also piling on the goals. So we'll see if that continues this evening. For a full list on that market and more, go to bet365.com.au and please gamble responsibly.
Bill, thank you. We are off to a break on Hyundai Matchday Saturday. Back in a moment to start it all. Wellington and Sydney, followed by the Melbourne Derby. We'll see you soon on the other side of this.
Discover. This programme is sponsored by Bet365.
That is unplayable. Australia regain the Ashes. England have given it everything.
The talent is there.
Now, England, what have you got?
You can't see me. Where's he gone? I got you. Dad, come over here. Hey, let us in.
I'm Granny Pig.
Underneath.
Great TV brings us closer. So BT has entertainment everyone can enjoy. Be there, BT.
Midlife crisis said sports car. Kids said MPV. I said, not my style. The boss said coupe. The dog said SUV. I said, why not both? She said this, he said that. I say Arona. The new Seat Arona. Get an extra £1,000 off the new Arona when you download a voucher at seat.co.uk. Do your thing.
supplies. I said send supplies.
Quiff, the betting app where every time you place a bet, your odds might get quiffed. But how does Quiff work? You're placing a bet with normal odds, and suddenly your odds might get supercharged from 4 to 1 to 40 to 1. Yeah, it happens. Like Adam from Clitheroe. He placed a bet on PSG to beat Celtic and got his odds supercharged from 11 to 8 to 80 to 1. His £5 bet won him £400. It's perfectly normal until it's quiffed.
Virgin Holiday Sale. It won't last forever. Sale now on. Seize the holiday at All Protected.
This programme is sponsored by Bet365.
Welcome back to Hyundai Matchday Saturday. We're almost set for this one in Wellington between Wellington Phoenix, just the one win in 15 against Sydney FC, and Sydney, of course, who are just rolling on beautifully. Won 30 of their last 40 matches since the start of last season. An amazing, amazing run. Players on their way out. Gents, your tip and why?
Sydney FC. Just think they're going to be too good for Wellington because of their previous form that we've seen. Other than that, I mean, you know, Wellington, you know, have that opportunity obviously to stop this rot, but I don't see it happening today.
Arch?
Sydney.
Sydney.
Adam?
Simple as that.
Sydney as well. We'll be back at half-time with Archie's pronunciation of hello chicks in Polish.
Oh.
And the team news for Melbourne Derby. Let's get across to Harry Nata and Jason Pine.
It would be hard to imagine a more perfect night for a game of football. Absolutely dead calm at ground level. It was one of the driest Novembers on record in Wellington, and December is heading the same way. In fact, the New Zealand government today officially declared a drought across the Wellington region. Graham Arnold, the hot favourite to succeed Ange Postecoglou as Socceroos coach. It's not hard to see why. There's Dariya Kalisic parting ways with his assistant during the week after what was described as an unhappy marriage. Back to Graham Arnold, who is, as I say, the hot favourite to become the next Socceroos coach. His Sydney FC side have started this season better than the last one. 9 wins, a draw, and just the 1 loss from their first 11 games. Chris Beath is our referee tonight, one of the more experienced A-League officials. His 154th A-League outing tonight. It's the 5th time he's refereed this fixture. Of the previous 4, the Phoenix have won 3 with 1 draw. Pre-match huddle for the Wellington Phoenix as they look to bounce back from their week of adversity. Milos Ninkovic makes his return to the Sydney side. Last year's Johnny Warren medalist starts for the first time since injuring his calf in the FFA Cup final on the 21st of November. Andrea Kalijerovic in a 4-way tie for the lead at the top of the Golden Boot standing. 7 goals, including 1 when these two last met in round 2. 22 points separate these two on the A-League ladder. It's not so much a gap as a chasm between the two. The Sky Blues in the now familiar position at the top of the table. The Phoenix propping up the rest at the bottom. 34th meeting between these two, including 2 finals games. 17 wins for Sydney, 12 for the Phoenix and 4 draws. But if Phoenix fans are looking for a crumb of historical comfort, it might come from this. In their 10 seasons, Wellington have never lost their last game before Christmas, winning 5 and drawing 5 of their games immediately before Santa arrives. Who gets to unwrap the presents tonight, Harry?
I like that one, Chase. You alluded to historical crumb. But certainly some fireworks already on in the midfield there. Alex Rufer. Chris Spieth, only the first free kick of the game, not even a minute gone. So it is on Brendan O'Neill as well. So certainly when you're looking at, you touched on it, Jason, the week that the Phoenix have been through, really need to show some heart and some determination, and good start from showing that from Alex Rufer, good determination to try and get to that ball and win that ball first, try and win the first tackle.
This doesn't look too good for Brandon O'Neill. It's so early in the game. Graham Arnold, not a big fan of the tackle. Brandon O'Neill's actually committed the most fouls in the Sydney FC side, but he was on the receiving end there of a rather robust challenge from Alex Rufer. The right knee is the area that is causing concern for Brandon O'Neill.
As you see, Alex Rufer just going in over the top, just clipping the shin pad there of Brandon O'Neill. Looks to be up and mobile, which is good news for Graham Arnold. I just really do think, Jason, that Josh Brillante and Brandon O'Neill, the two just that sit just in front of the back four, have really been instrumental for Sydney over the last sort of couple of seasons. He's relatively young as well, 24, Josh Brillante. Brendan O'Neill's only 23 years of age, 170 games between those two, so they really are a fixture in Graham Arnold's side.
Rather ambitious effort from the free kick from Adrian Mirzaevski, just making sure that Luis Italiano was awake and goal for the Wellington Phoenix. Yeah, O'Neill and Brillante, just such a consistent part of this Sydney FC side. Ninkovic looking to set Bobo away nice and early in the piece. Brillante making the run. The first-time effort deflects off Paratsky. That'll go behind for a corner. They're appealing for handball, I think.
Yeah, fantastic ball here from Bobo, trying to prick up Brillante on the far post, and it actually did strike Goran Paratsky on the arm. The referee's assistant had full view as well.